Ladies and gents, yes, sir. We're right back at you guys. Another entertaining, outstanding show. Pat P, you fired up?
I'm ready, man.
Oh, man. Listen, oftentimes on our shows, we get an opportunity to talk to a living legend, meeting a legend that is still here living. So with that being said, it's only right that we shower them down with their flowers. On this episode, 11-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro, a long-time Pittsburgh Steeler, Super Bowl champion with the Baltimore Ravens. I got to whisper that because we got a little rivalry. I got to whisper that. Pro Football Hall of Famer. His career stats, man, back and forth when you're in the barbershop, when you're in the hair salons, you're talking about the GOAT at this position, the GOAT at that position. His career stats, 71 interceptions, 32 fumble recoveries, 17 touchdowns, 12 interceptions returned for a touchdown. He had 1 fumble return for a touchdown, 1 fumble recovery, 2 kickoff return touchdowns, and 2 punts, equaling out to a total of 17. No other than the great Steeler Nation stand up. Rod Woodson is joining us here on All Things Covered. Pat Peterson, Bryant, McFadden, man, we fired up. Rod, how you doing? How you feeling?
Man, I appreciate you guys, man. I'm feeling good, living in Vegas, loving it out here. Nice and toasty out here today, 105 degrees. So when it's like that, we normally stay in the pool or in the house. We'll get out a little bit late, but I'm enjoying life, man. I've been blessed over and over and over. My kids are healthy. My wife is good. The rest of my extended family's healthy, and that's all that really matters.
No question, man. You look good. Look like you still come out that T-step a little bit too, from our viewpoint.
I ain't gonna do that no more. That right knee burning up right now. That right knee burning up.
Oh, man, there's so much we can talk about, and we plan on doing so in this episode. But first and foremost for me, according to one of your assistant coaches, in one high school game, listeners and viewers, check this out. And I want to make sure this is true. Right. I don't know if this is a folklore or something someone thought about, but they said you once scored 5 touchdowns on 6 total touches. Is that true?
Yes.
How is that even possible?
I think it was against the Bishop. I think it was Bishop Dwanger in one of our big rival games. And, I played offense, but they didn't want to give me the rock a bunch, so they gave it to the other dude. So I played safety, but safety, I think I got a pick 6. I think I had 1 reception for a touchdown. I think I had a kick return and punt return, something like that for touchdowns. That was a long time ago, man. I can't remember that part back.
But the moral of the story is true. Like it's true. You had 6 touches for 5 touchdowns in high school.
Yes,
it's true. At what point in your football journey, when did you realize you were built differently than everybody else? Like you just had a special skill set. When did you realize that?
I'm not like that. I don't really
When did it feel different then for you? How about that?
I put it this way. It's like I played football when I was 9 years old because my brother started playing a little PAL football. And then we swam competitive first before we even did football. And then about 12, 13, I said, you know what? I'm done with swimming. I'm going to start running track. Then I started getting a little bit faster, got to high school. Even when I got to high school, I knew I was fast. So I thought I might go to school, if anything, on a track scholarship.
Yep.
Because I was, my sophomore year, I was second in the state in the lows and 5th in the state in the highs. And in the following year, I won it. My junior year, I won both. But I wasn't even honorable mention all state in football. I really never thought about ball like that. And then I grew also within that junior year to senior year. Man, I grew it was crazy. I grew 2 inches, gained 20, 25 pounds.
Wow. Shit.
And everything clicked. And they were like, oh, yeah, you can play football. And then, my main thing when I went to college is whoever I was going to go to school, I had to be able to run track. And, Purdue was the one that said, hey, listen, you sign with us, you're going to be our starting free safety and you're going to run track. I was like, okay. Then I went to the other schools. They were all him-hawing around. And when I got done with my last one, I was like, yeah, Purdue's the easy choice.
Yeah.
But I never really thought that I was going to be that dude. I knew I was fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I really knew I was fast. I think I was about 14. And you know how you race you always race your older brothers. You compete. And I normally was racing my brother from telephone pole to telephone pole on Reynolds Street in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I couldn't get him. I was about 12. And he was at that time, he was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Said, go, Coom, I got him. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm fast. Yeah, I got a little speed on me now. I never thought I was going to be that dude, right? Yeah. I never thought I had that type of ability. I always knew I was fast. I always knew that. But I never really knew if I could play at a high level on the football side of it. Because really, my sophomore year in high school, I quit football. Because my coaches were cussing me out. And, and I'm like, yo, man, you don't got to cuss me out. Just ask me something to do. I'll do it.
Yeah, right.
I said, my mom and dad don't talk to me like that. and then luckily for me, I had a guy, on the track side of it. My track coach talked me off the cliff, said, hey, man, don't let nobody ever talk you out of what you love to do. Mm. So I came back to the football team, apologized to the coach. He kept cussing me out, that's just the way he coached. Yeah. But that allowed me to realize that coaches are going to try to coach you hard. But for me personally, man, I never really thought I was that type of guy. I knew I played well. I knew I made a lot of big plays in games even when I was at Purdue. But I never thought about going to the pros. We never had that conversation in my household with my boys, in the locker room. It just all kept coming along, kept chugging. And then they're like, shoot, man, you might be a first round pick. I'm like, who, me? Like my dad didn't even finish high school, man. I'm not gonna be no first round pick. Mm. And it happened. So for me personally, fellas, I've never really thought, I thought I was that dude. Like when, in our neighborhood, how you go to the neighborhood, you go to the park, you get your little pickup basketball games and baseball games and all that stuff. So I thought I could compete, but I never knew I was like that dude. Yeah. I was a guy, but I never thought I was that guy. Right. Until it probably really didn't click for me until my junior year. And I was making a lot of big plays, and they were like, yeah, if you leave this year, you might go first round. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to leave. I don't know if I'm going to go first round. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'll stay one more year. And I got picked by the Steelers the following year.
History. Yes, sir. That's awesome, man. I know we Bryant hit on the story early on in the segment about you touching the ball. So me and you share something in common. We both have all pros at two different positions, at punt return and as a defensive back. And you also did something much more gruesome than I would ever thought about doing. You returned kicks and punts for 8 full years. Like what went into the mindset of that? And was that of more of a ball hawk mentality, or just something that you really, really love to do?
Yeah, I always thought I could play both ways, right? So when I got to Purdue, I thought I could play both ways, and I begged my coaches. They wouldn't let me do it. I did in high school, but they wouldn't let me do it when I got to Purdue. And then my last year at Purdue, Leon Burnett knew he was going to leave. And he let me play both ways my senior year. And then when I got to Pittsburgh is old school. Chuck Noll was there. Chuck was like, he wasn't hearing it about playing both ways and all that. He's like, man, you learn how to play defense. You learn how to play defensive back. Yeah, that's what you need to learn how to do. So I was like, the only way I could touch the ball on a daily was kick return, punt returns. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I first got there, Louis Lips was still there. So Louis was a punt returner. Yeah, Louis was still there. So Louis would return the punts. Then I started returning kicks. But when I first got there, I wasn't doing that right away because I didn't sign my rookie contract until October 28th, my rookie year. So I only played like 6 or 7 games my rookie year.
Uh-huh. You were holding out.
So holding out. But that's the same year you guys are a little younger, but I was the same year that we had the holdout for
the strike.
We should something else in common.
I guess that was a strike.
Yeah.
And they had the scab players, they would call them, right? And they had those guys come in, and we knew that was going to happen. So we were like, hey, instead of just signing and just sitting around, how about I told myself I'm not going to sign. You know, I love the Steelers, but they didn't want to give me the money that I thought I deserved because I thought I was going to be a third player taken off the board, and I became the 10th. And I was like, listen, I know you say I'm the 10th player taken. I'm saying that, hey, my values are the third player taken.
Mm-hmm.
I remember us talking. I can't remember who I'm trying to think of the
GM,
the guy that did the contracts and negotiations for the Steelers. I can't remember his name.
He ended up going to the Texans, if I'm not mistaken. If we're talking about the same guy.
So, but anyway, he came out to LA because I was running track. And he said, listen, we're going to give you $1 million. $1 million signing bonus. I was like, ooh, that's a lot of money. I'm like, that's a lot of money. But in my head, I was like, we're not going to play yet. And I still think I'm worth being the third player taken. And at the end, I was like, listen, hey, I've never had money in my pocket. I don't know what it feels like to have money in my pocket. I respect everything that you guys are offering me, but I still think I'm worth XYZ. If Mr. Rooney and the Steelers want to talk to me, I'll be in Nice, France tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I got on the plane the next day, went to Nice, France, and once the negotiation for the little strike kind of simmered up, and they kind of had decided what the different sides agreed upon. That's when I knew I wanted to play. I mean, I always wanted to play football. I was just waiting for them to get it all done, and then I signed my contract, came in with the Steelers. It's just one of those things of being in that black and gold, that rookie year, and having an opportunity to play where I knew Chuck wasn't going to let me do both ways. So I said, I got to return kick. That's the way I'm going to touch the ball.
Right.
Either that or get picks.
Right.
Well, you got a lot of those
too.
No question.
That came over time. Over time.
Yeah. Hey, Rod, how surprised were you that you were still available at the 10th pick? Because Chuck Noll famously told Tony Dungy, to not bother putting together a scouting report on you because you were not supposed to be there at 10. As you mentioned, you felt like you would be in the top 3, top 5 category. But how surprised were you on draft day 1987 when you were still available at 10?
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. I was just happy that people were thinking about me. I'm sitting in my mom and dad's home on Jefferson Street in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It wasn't real big. They was talking about this guy getting drafted. One of the, especially early in the draft, to even be thought about being drafted like that from where I came from. I mean, it was pretty awesome. Now I'm blessed that I did slide down, because I could have went to, San Diego and Cleveland and all the other places. And I slid down and went to one of the, I think one of the best organizations in all of sports, in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So sliding down to them and having Tony Dungy as my coach my first couple of years was a blessing. I mean, God has always had his hands on me. I needed Tony my first couple of years in the league because I was a little hothead. I thought I was all that, and Tony never raised his voice. He just looked at you and said, son, what were you thinking about? And I was like, shoot, I don't know, coach. That's why I did it. I didn't know what I'm doing.
Man. Also, too, for me, a real quick, Pat P, I've heard stories about Chuck Noll, and clearly he's one of the all-time greats. But what was it like to play for him? A guy that orchestrated those 70 dynasties with great players and great defensive dominance. How was it playing for Chuck Noll?
I mean, Chuck was old school as old school can get. I remember one of our first practices back then, they didn't have a time limit on practice. And it wasn't none of that stuff. I mean, we got to, it was probably, I can't say halfway, but about halfway through practice. And it was kind of going sideways. You guys know when bad practices are going that certain way. Man, he's like, Oh, this is what you guys want to do? Let's start this whole thing over. Oh, Lord. I looked at Donnie Shell. I said, we starting a whole practice over? Like the whole thing. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my. That's what I was like. This ain't college no more, boy. This is for real. But he was old school. But the one thing that he was great at is that he always gave you nuggets about life after football. And one of the first things that he told me is that this game is played more 2-to-1 mental to physical. And when he first said it, obviously I'm 21, 22 years old coming out. I'm not really thinking about it. But years passed, another coach kind of said the same thing to me, Rod Russ, after Tony Dungy left. And then it kind of hit. But Chuck was an old philosopher. He read a lot of literature. He put that inside of his little game plans. He was no nonsense now. I mean, first thing he told me, if you don't tackle, you ain't playing. I was like, I play Midwest football, man. We tackling in the Midwest. We tackling in the streets in the wintertime in the Midwest. So I'm good with that.
Oh, you tackling.
That's one thing to say. You got to tackle.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if that's why, everybody gives me a hard time, especially when they watch my clips. I had some big old shoulder pads.
Yeah. Right.
And I kept those shoulder pads everywhere I went. But my whole 17 years, I played with the same shoulder pads. And, it did me justice, I got banged up a little bit on the right shoulder a little bit, but that was pretty good.
It's jumping off of coach, one great coach to another great coach, and Dick LeBeau. He joined the great organization that you, as we all have an opportunity to play for in '92. How did he change the organization for the better?
Man, Dick's the dude. Dick's the GOAT.
Hey, we just had him on our last episode. He had some real good things to say about you, by the way, but go ahead.
Dick, man, I love Dick LeBeau, man. Love him to death. Dick played at a high level.
Yes, he did.
He had 61, 62 picks.
62
at the corner spot. The one thing I loved about Dick, he knew what it was like to be when he crossed that white line. He knew what it felt like. And his system just let athletes play. I mean, he just like, go play. And one thing I loved about Dick, probably more than anything, is he lets you be you inside of his own system. As long as you don't go too rogue and too cowboy on him, too far out there, he's going to let you be you inside of the system.
Yeah.
But that system is so fun to play in. And he's so cool and so laid back where he can sing, cite poetry. I mean, what he did what he did on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
His tenure as
the night before Christmas. Yeah.
Dude, that I remember the first time he did that, right? And we sitting down there. We're sitting there. We're like, hey, Coach LeBeau's gonna come up, he gonna recite the night before Christmas. Man, me and Carnell Lake and Greg Lowe were like, hey, no, wait, how you gonna recite a whole book? And man, sure enough, bro, he said the whole thing with, I mean, sound effects and everything. I mean, one of the best things I've ever seen any coach ever do. But Dick LeBeau, that dude just changed. He changed my mindset. Well, first, a guy named Rod Russ really helped me. So after Tony left, Rod Russ came in and kind of said the same thing. So that was Chuck's last 2 years. And he's the one that really challenged me to be a man and learn the game more mental than physical. And so it was me and Rod Russ in his meeting, in his office space in the off season. And the first question he asked me was, how many formations can offense get into? And I was like, oh, shoot, 750. He was like, how many eligible receivers? And I was like, 5. He said, they ain't getting 5 formations. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, they get in pro. Back then they got in slot. I mean, they still get in slot. They still get in triples, but they get in slot. One back, they get in 2x2 or 3x1, and then go empty. He said, but what they do, they would put you in different personnel groupings, move these different pieces around, find a formation, and they're going to run so many plays out of that. And I was like, oh, you got to be freaking kidding me. So we had all those guys. And then after that, Dick comes in, and Dick just lets me be me. Because I jumped out of my stance in press. And most of the coaches try to get me to correct that. And Dick was like,
what do you mean when you jump, you widen your base?
Yeah. So I had a narrow base, and I to move my feet to get going, I jumped them out about 6 inches. So it gave me a little wider base where I can go either way. And it was just a natural thing I did because I didn't play corner throughout my life. I played safety my whole life. And then last year Purdue, I played corner and little safety. And then I ran my 40 at the combine. They said, you're going to play corner.
What was that 40 time, Rod, by the way?
That was a 4.28.
Were you disappointed? Were you disappointed at that 4.28 or that was right?
No, I mean, to be honest, to tell that story, that was back in 87. I didn't know they had a combine. So, I'm down at Purdue running track, and they said, hey, Rod, the NFL combine is up the street. They do an NFL combine in Indy. And I'm like, and they said it's going to be like in two or 3 weeks. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm already running. So all I did, I got in my car, I drove up. It wasn't a week like it is today. I mean, back then it was like 2 days. I went up, did my offensive thing, got on the field, ran, got back, went back to school, wasn't back in class in 2 days. So it was completely different. Completely different than before.
That was a little round trip there.
No question. But hey, that's a unique, because most guys are taught to be narrow, but you talk about you widen your base. Now for you had an opportunity to do that because you were so fast. Also, that's another thing.
And he allowed me to be me, right? So he, instead of him saying, hey, you shouldn't do that, he was like, well, you can get out of it. And that's when I started realizing everybody's a little bit different. And the coaches who kind of played the game before and played the position before know that. I looked at Nnamdi Asomugha. Nnamdi would have a wide base.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did this dude get out there? Like I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out that wide base, but Nnamdi did it and he got out of it. I just remember one thing that Dick would say all the time is he'll let you do it if you can.
And if it's working,
he'll let you do it.
Yeah.
And I remember fast forwarding years later, Troy comes in, and Troy, he's letting Troy do all this stuff and be himself inside of a system. And I called him. I said, Coach, why are you letting Troy do all that stuff? He's like, because he can. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, man. But that's what he was, man. I mean, Dick is the salt of the earth, man. He is one of the best human beings.
Yes, I echo all
I've ever
of
met in my lifetime.
No question. We had Coach LeBeau, and like I said, man, he had some real good things to say about you and talk about your athleticism. So, man, Coach LeBeau still thinks highly of you, like you think of him. So we all echo the same thing. I wish Pat P had opportunity to play with Coach LeBeau because, he take your football knowledge to another level. Pat P. Oh, no question. So, of course, in 95, you tore your ACL. You found a way to get back healthy enough to participate in the Super Bowl. What did it mean for you, Rod, to come back 4.5 months later for Super Bowl 30, despite only playing just 12 snaps? You had a PBU against Michael Irvin, but what did it mean for you to be able to get back? And how was that experience for you? Were you 100% healthy during that Super Bowl when you played 12 snaps?
No. I mean, if anybody knows, if you hurt your ACL, I mean, you normally are better off the next year because your knee is still healing. But the one thing I give a lot of love to Bill Cowher because I remember we had the game on Sunday, had the meeting on Monday with the doctors, and me and Bill and the team orthopedic surgeon sitting in there. And I remember him saying, it might be a 4 to 6 month recovery. I said, 4 months. Hey, I can play. And Bill looked at me and said, what? I said, I can come back in 4 minutes. Leave the door open. And he was like, I had to talk Bill into it now. It ain't like he said, at the very beginning. I had to talk him into it. But the great thing is we had so many great athletes in the secondary, Carnell Lake, which I don't think he gets enough credit for how he's played and throughout his career is that, Carnell Lake, a big old, he was an outside linebacker in college, came to us, played strong safety, dime, played nickel when I got hurt, moved the corner when I got hurt.
With no gloves, by the way.
With no glove, he didn't have no elbow, he ain't had nothing. Now,
out there looking stank.
now, wait. To go back, when he first started playing, He came to practice. He had pads all on. I said, bro, you're going to be taking the pads off because these dudes can run. Like you're going to try to be as light as possible.
Right.
Trying to chase these little dudes around. But I mean, Carnell played, they allowed him to be there. But Bill Cowher let me play and our team play with only 52 players on the active roster the whole year. I mean, that was major. And, obviously nobody else got hurt. I got to play in my first Super Bowl. And I really did it because as a player, you never know when you're going to go to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, you never, the year before we should have won. And we lost in that final game in the final plays. So not really knowing and not knowing my future either, right? I didn't know I was going to eventually leave Pittsburgh and go to somewhere else and have an opportunity to play in 2 more Super Bowls. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I just knew this at this moment, I want to play with my guys. And if Bill gave me that opportunity, which he did, which most coaches would have not. Most coaches would have put me on an hour and been done with it. But at least Bill listened to me and allowed me to have that opportunity. I'm indebted to him the rest of my life. I mean, I talked to him like a month ago. I talked to Dick like a month ago.
Yep.
And all those guys who impacted me some way, in some form, some fashion, I'm indebted to those guys for the rest of my life.
No doubt.
Man, that's awesome. And speaking of the Super Bowl, was it you played in the Super Bowl across the same field of Deion Sanders? Was there a type of rivalry between you guys in the 90s? Or did the media try to, how the media is nowadays, and
similar to what you and Richard Sherman, remember how Pat?
Yeah. Was there any?
Rich had to go with. No, because I had a different game.
Yeah.
Like I love Deion, right? I'm a different person than Deion. Deion is flashy, he's in the media. I'm not in the media. I mean, I do games and stuff like that. I call games, but I'm not in the media like that. He's a great promoter of himself. But he's a player, and he's a different type of player than me, though, right? I mean, he's a pure cover guy, where I'm a more blue-collar worker. I'm going to play outside corner, nickel, dime, safety. I don't care where you put me.
Right.
I just want to be on the field.
Yeah.
Let me be on the field. I'm going to be on the field, and I can play at any position. And, and Deion was just completely different than me, faster. He was faster than I was. I can't say he had better hands than I did, but he got to play offense.
Yeah.
He got to play offense more than I did. But, we never had that type of rivalry. We have much respect for each other. I used to go to his events. He used to come to my events, man. Yeah, I still, I texted him the other day about, seeing the injury that he has right now in Colorado as a coach. I send him a much love, like, man, get better. Hopefully everything goes well for you and the fam.
Yeah, I got one more for you in the same game, because Jerry Rice played in that game, right? And that's
Jerry.
No, not that Super Bowl.
No, not that Super Bowl. Jerry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Jerry. We played Jerry the year before.
Okay.
And they beat us in the opening game. I think the score was like 17-13 or something like that. 17, 14, something like that.
How was it going up against old Jerry Rice? Because obviously, I never really had the opportunity to talk to a DB
that played against him.
Rice. Yeah. You see so many great films of him, how he worked. He reminded me so much of Larry Fitzgerald, the way he worked in practice and how he finished catches and things like that.
Yeah.
Give me the scoop on how was it going up against old Jerry Rice?
I mean, he's real deal now. And, everybody say he wasn't fast, but when that ball went in the air, he was fast. I don't know how he did it. But he did it. I think the biggest thing is like, I only played against Jerry once.
Mm-hmm.
Right in my time frame of being with the Steelers. I only played against him. Then I got to play with him when I went to the 49ers.
Yeah, San Francisco.
And that's when I got to see the dude works.
Yeah.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
And that's what you realize. You realize all the really good players normally are pros, right? You don't have to tell them what to do. You don't have to say where they're going to be. They're going to be there.
Yeah. Right.
They're going to be there before the coaches are there, right? And they're going to coach the other players just like the coach is. Right. And that's what it feels like. I mean, that's really what it is to play against like a Jerry Rice and play against Jerry. I knew I had to be at the top of my game. And in my head, I had to say, no seams, no posts, no goals.
Oh
If I
yeah.
let him get on top of me, he gonna embarrass me. I ain't gonna let him embarrass me. Now, like, especially we played him at home too. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna let you get on top of me. And he got on top of me the one time, and Greg Lloyd made him step up, and Steve Young threw it and threw a little short, and I called it a one-hander interception. But that's the only time. If he would have threw it out there,
he had you.
He might have had me.
You think so? But hey, Rod, you had that 4-2 also now. So just because he throw it out there doesn't mean he gonna get it.
Yeah, but that's why I say, hey, the rush and coverage, they go hand in hand now.
Facts. No question. Best friend alert.
No doubt about it.
Hey, one last question before we transition to the superlative part. You had an opportunity to go play with the rivals in the Baltimore Ravens, playing in your second Super Bowl, which was Super Bowl 35. When did you know you guys had the Giants, and how good was your defense? Because, there's so many debatable topics about the best defense to ever do it. And I like to mention, Dick LeBeau talked about our 2008 defense. When you talk about statistically speaking, we did something that no other defense has done before. But your defense had quite a few Hall of Famers. But just take us through that mindset in Super Bowl 35. When did you know you had the Giants right where you need them to be? And also, how good was your defense?
Honestly, we knew we was going to beat the Giants when me and Ray, because we thought Minnesota was going to beat the Giants. Because Minnesota had a squad.
Yeah. Everybody thought Minnesota was going to beat the Giants.
Shoot. And I was kind of like, I don't know if we can beat Minnesota, because these dudes are pretty freaking good. I mean, they can score on anybody. And then when the Giants won, me and Ray was watching film. Man, we cut the film off for about a quarter into. We're like, man, if they get across the 50, we quit. I'm dead serious. Like, they're gonna try to run the ball against us.
Wow.
He run the ball against us. We had Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams inside. They wasn't gonna run the ball inside. Then we had Peter Boulware, Michael McQuarrie, and Rob Burnett on the outside. That's like, they're not gonna run the ball against us.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to run the ball, which they hard-headed, which they tried to.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that. And then they tried to throw it every now and then. And that got picked a couple of times. So I mean, we knew. So when we said if they get across the 50, and they did one time, they did one time against us, that we'll walk with the field. They got across the 50 one time at about I think it's like the sometime in the third quarter. That was it.
That's awesome.
And how good was your defense in totality? Like, I mean, we saw it, of course, but you were a part of it. Like,
yeah, I played in some good defense with the Steelers.
Yeah,
we had some good defense, getting after people, getting rush defenses, interceptions, sacks. When you just talk about like statistically scoring defense, let's go there. Yeah. That's the part that we were looking at, right? And we talk about the 85, really the 86 Bears, who had the scoring record at that one point. We beat that record by 26 points or something like that. We shattered that record.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a good blend of guys that they could play inside. We had leaders on the front line. We had leaders in the linebacking core, and we had leaders in the back end. And it kind of just all blend. And Marvin, who was in Pittsburgh with us back in the day when Bill first got there, right? We were really running that Pittsburgh defense out of a 4-3. So it was some of those same concepts that we used to do in Pittsburgh. We took it there. And all the stuff that we did in Pittsburgh as players, I took it there. Like when we had our own Friday afternoon meetings, and no coaches were in the meetings, and just the players, and we're giving the call sheet, and we're giving out the calls, and we're going through the whole game, and everybody's making out their calls so we can get a good feel for how we want to play together. I took that to Baltimore. The same thing that we did in Pittsburgh. And, it was basically ingrained in me in Pittsburgh to do it the right way, because you got to take ownership.
Yep.
And then each year we got a little bit better. First year we was not that good. We were 6-10. The second year we were a little bit better. We're 8-8. And the third year it clicked. And that's the year that we was really good. But then also Marvin had some really good game plans. And that's why he got the opportunity to be a head coach of Cincinnati Bengals. And that was seeing Ray Lewis kind of blossom, one of the best backers to ever play. and the young corners that we had. And I got to go play my natural position at safety, which I that's what I wanted to play anyway when I came with the league. It was fun. It was fun. But, you know, statistically, scoring wise, one of the best ever. But then I also, people always ask me, I'm like, yeah, when I play those some of the teams I played with, you know, some of the defense I played with Pittsburgh, we had some dogs. We would get after people.
Yeah.
You know,
you're talking about Lloyd, Kevin Green.
Kevin Green. A lot of people don't remember. But man, Chad Brown
from Colorado.
Chad Brown was probably the best blitzing linebacker, especially from the middle of the field, that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were running that inside fire zone.
Inside fire zone, yes, sir. Y'all ran inside too. We used to. Oh man, Coach LeBeau used to love that inside
like
fire
the
zone.
Matrix.
That cross
come in, jump, turn sideways, and everybody's coming at him, and he's looked like he's going to slow motion. Then he just speeds up and gets to the quarterback. I'm like, he's the real deal.
Yeah, Chad Brown, number 94. He used to be out there with those Warwick Duns, the strap with the Nikes. I remember Warwick Dunn used to wear at Florida State on that turf in Three Rivers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, so before we let you go, Rob, we're going to transition to the superlative part of our show. We're going to hit you with rapid fire questions. We want your honest, unbiased answer. The first one I got for you, I know Steeler fans will love to hear this, and I don't want to cop out. I need you to give me the answer.
Right.
An all-time Steelers secondary. If you can give us your top 4 guys from the Steelers organization all time. Or if you want to add a 5th to be your nickel or your dime, you're the coach. You've been coaching. You've also been a player. Your all-time Steelers secondary consists of who?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one, man. Okay.
Yeah, and no cop out. We this is your list. This is your.
I'm gonna go. Okay, first corner, Mel Blount.
Yep.
Right. Second corner,
yourself.
Myself.
Yep.
Safety, Donnie Shell.
Yep.
Safety, Troy Polamalu.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go one more. I'm gonna go nickel. Well, it could be nickel dime. I mean, because I got Carnell Lake in there, because Carnell was one of those dudes. But I mean, the 5th one is kind of hard because I think we had so many great defensive backs that got overlooked for a lot of different things over our time frame of being around. Willie Williams was a player.
Willie Will, 27.
Ike was a player.
Yeah.
You know, heck, shoot, you were a player. I mean, we had so many good players that I think got overlooked because there were so many great players who come through Pittsburgh, and there's so many Hall of Famers who have come through there. No question. That the guys who have played at a really high level got kind of overshadowed by, you know, like when I played there the whole time, Carnell didn't get the love.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole time that Troy was there, everybody else didn't get the love. Right. So it's like, I thought there's so many other guys, but I think those 4, I think that's a solid secondary.
That's more than solid.
Like I think Mel Blount is the best corner ever to play in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
no argument.
I don't know if you met him yet, Pat.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, how big that dude is? Massive,
huge.
Man, I tell you, look, when I remember my rookie year, he came in and I was after a practice and I was looking down and I saw these big cowboy boots. I looked up, I was like, "Oh, Mr. Blount!" I stood up. Well, heck, I stood up and he was another 3 inches taller than me. Right. And he was wearing that big cowboy hat. He was wearing that big cowboy buckle with the big boots. And I was like, "You play corner?"
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness,
that wasn't fair. No, yeah. And then that's why they got the 5-yard chuck rule.
Yeah, yeah.
He was killing cats.
No question. That's a solid. That's more than a solid secondary. Yourself, Mel Blount, Donnie Shell, and Troy Polamalu. I like that 4 against anybody.
Yeah,
anybody.
Yeah,
line them up. Mount Rushmore of NFL cornerbacks all time. The top 4 cornerbacks of all time. National.
Well, Mel, that's one.
Mel, yep.
Mel, off time. Ooh-wee.
Yeah, on the Mount Rushmore of cornerbacks.
I'm gonna go Deion.
Yep.
See, I like the old school guys, man. So I'm gonna put Lim Barney in there.
Played with Coach LeBeau.
He played with Dick.
Yep. I think he had 58 picks or something like that, 56 or 58
or something like that. That's back in the day when they was only throwing the ball like 10 times.
Exactly.
I'm not going to put myself in it.
Okay.
But because I thought I was one of the best defensive backs to ever play.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I don't care what position you say. If you want to play corner, I'll play corner. You want me to play nickel, I'll play nickel. You want me to play safety, I'll play safety. Just put me out there. I'm a Swiss Army knife. I'll play any position you want me to play. Last one, I'm either going to go with, let me see. I don't know if I want to go with, I think I'm going to go with Revis.
Ooh, nice.
I go. You know what I love about Revis is that he was so patient at the line.
Oh, extremely patient, man.
I mean, like the dude didn't even worry. Like
it didn't matter who he was going against. It didn't matter.
Like he had no anxiety. Like the dude he's just sitting there. Like the dude is moving around. He's just waiting for him to release, and then he just kind of punches him.
Man, so, no question.
I would go Revis.
I love it. Okay, last question for you. Fastest player you ever played against or played with?
Shoot, the fastest player I ever played against was Darryl Green.
Darryl Green. How fast is Darryl Green?
The fastest receiver I've ever played against probably was Anthony Miller. Played for the Chargers back in the day. I mean, he could
81, right? I think he wore 81.
81, yeah. He could roll. He could roll. James Lofton could roll.
Oh, yeah. Long strider.
Yep.
I didn't know James was that fast.
James can put him up and put him down. Trying to think like James Jett.
Oh, yeah.
James Jett can run. James Jett ran past me one time in the game so fast. I'm like, I'm glad the safety didn't. I'm glad the quarterback didn't see it because he was gone. James Jett. It was another. Willie Gault.
Willie Gault. Yeah.
Played against Willie.
Yeah.
I mean, all those guys that ran track, that laced them up. I mean, all them guys can run.
Can go. No question. Hey, that's a great list, and I'm pretty sure these guys get a chance to hear it. They're going to definitely appreciate the love you were able to give them. Rod, man, thank you for joining us. All things covered. 11-time
you guys.
Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, Pro Football Hall of Famer. And for the kids out here don't know who Rod Woodson is, 71 interceptions, 32 fumble recoveries, 17 touchdowns. Do your homework, study the game, understand the game, because he paved the way for all of us in regards to playing defensive football, playing in the secondary. Rod Woodson is the guy who paved the way for us young lads to try to do the same thing or something similar to that he's been able to do. Steeler fans love him. Dick LeBeau love him. Everybody loves him. Number 26 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but number 1 in your heart. Thank you, Rod, for joining us. Hopefully, I get a chance to see you. Are you going to check out you know what? The Steelers come to Vegas. Week 3.
You know what? Well, no, but one of the other teams that you guys play against, they offered me a job.
Oh.
And I called the games for the purple and black.
Oh, so you won't be able to attend because you will be calling games
I'll be in the booth.
You'll be in the booth. But yeah, you will be in the building. You will be in the building when they play.
And when I come to Pittsburgh, I always come a couple days early just to check out my boy Tracy Foster.
Yeah, shouts out to Tracy, P&W, BMW.
Yeah, P&W. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Foreign cars over there.
Yes, sir. If you need a car and you're in Pittsburgh, go to P&W. By the way, you're gonna give you a plug. Mike Brown. Shouts out to Mike Brown as well.
DJ Mike Brown.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, congratulations.
I've done that for the last 2 years. So
okay.
I'll be at I don't get to go to that game, but I'll be at 2 of the games. So
got you.
I'll be down on the field. Where you living at?
I'm in Atlanta.
Are you in Hot Atlanta?
Yes, sir.
Atlanta. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
That middle jersey behind you. What high school was that?
That's Hollywood MacArthur. That's my high school jersey. So I got the high school jersey there, and of course Florida State. Then I got the Steeler joint. Yeah.
Why did you get 8 when you went to? They didn't really gave out those type of numbers when you played.
Oh no, they just did that a year ago. And Pat P just informed all of us that the Steelers are not giving a single digit to any skill position player.
Really?
They're going to keep the tradition to tradition. So if you play in the secondary,
I like that.
You're not getting a single digit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pat P informed all of us that's not happening. They're not having it. They're going to keep it. They're going to keep it what it is.
Keep it the way it should be.
Yes. So yeah, but I have no issue with that either, because you talk about the Steelers. That's a thorough organization. They've been doing things for such a long time the same way. Heck, you just talked about inside fire zone. Y'all was running inside fire zone. We ran inside fire zone. Like, you know what I mean? So basically say defenses that you guys ran in the late 80s, early 90s, we ran as well. So
you ran Buster?
Buster. Yes, sir. That corner better make sure he see that end man and don't be late. You better show up in that run game. You better show up. Yes, sir. They count on you because you know that thing break out a little bit. You better be able to keep it in. Don't let it get outside you. Yes, sir. That two Buster. Hey, when I first got there, I was like, two Buster for our listeners and our viewers. That was one of our best run calls because the two corners had to be committed to the run game. That was an extra hat. And as you guys know, being fans of the game, you don't expect for corners to show up in run support, especially in a cover two like shell. But for us, we see that end man fire off. We're coming.
Yeah, we rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, what was great about the two Buster though is when if two went to the flat, he was covered by that backer. And we could kind of sit a little bit softer and we could take a curl, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of threw people off, man. I mean, that was like when I started seeing like the stuff that Dick had, and I was this stuff, if you learn how to disguise it, man, as a corner, you can as an athlete, you can make a lot of great plays.
And for us, we had the ultimate magician in Troy. So talk about us running two Buster, and for our listeners, our viewers, two Buster was a generic cover two, right? We ran the 3-4. You got three down linemen, two outside rushers, two inside backers, the corner, both safeties. But what we would do is Troy would line up in the box. So now as a quarterback, you're thinking we're playing a cover one, cover 7, or cover 3. And what we would do as corners, we would probably get 7 to 8 yards deep. So to make it look like cover 3, and the backside safety would get in the middle of the post.
Right.
So now you're not anticipating us being in any kind of two shell look with Troy in the box. But what Troy would do is right when he gets into the cadence, the quarterback, now he's going to shoot up out of there. Right. And now we roll into my cover 2 alignment. And by that time, we got you right where we need you to be.
Yep.
Disguise is so important in defensive play. And I talk about that all the time. If you show what they're doing, you show them what you're doing, they're gonna get you. But if you make them think something otherwise than what you're actually doing, they're gonna play right into your hand. That's what we used to, and Dick LeBeau used to allow us to have that free will to do that.
And see, that's what makes Dick so special as a coach, because most coaches won't let you do it.
No.
Coaches like, I told you to get out there, be 1 yard inside the number, be there, don't leave the hat. I mean, this constantly, but Dick would allow you to like experiment and try things to see how it worked out, and allow you to, as long as you don't disguise yourself out of your coverage, right? That's one of the main rules. Don't disguise yourself out of your own coverage and out of your own rules or your own responsibilities. But he allowed his players to do that. And that, to me, what makes a great coach. A great coach doesn't do all the X's and O's. Because, the X's and O's help, but he allows his players to be comfortable inside of the system, man.
Yes.
And that's one of the main reasons Dick LeBeau is so great and so loved. He allowed all his players. First of all, he showed them a lot of love.
And respect.
But he allowed those guys to be themselves inside of a system.
Yes. Yeah. He was a great coach. And with him allowing us to do that, and as long as everybody's on the same page, man, we didn't play like we had a filter on us. No, everybody talk about it. If Troy want to do this, Mac, you know what you got to go do. You know, you got to replace Troy or vice versa, whatever the case may be. And quarterbacks didn't have no answer. I mean, oftentimes you saw 43 bouncing around the line of scrimmage, but most of the times he was going to get up out of there at some point in time. Right. And then he might hit that little, the instincts come in where he just might go. Right. You know what I mean? He might go. It might be a 2-man situation. He's supposed to be the half safety. He's like, I'm going. I'm blitzing. Like, you're going to be on your own right now. But they can't account for him because he's not supposed to be blitzing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, most coaches would pull that player to the side and say, you can't ever do that again.
Yeah. Not LeBeau.
You know, not LeBeau. So that's the one thing that I loved about Dick, man. Dick, obviously outside of him just being such a great human being, but him allowing us to just be us on the field and to try those experiments and see what works. And the one thing I really love, what most coaches don't do, if we had a question mark about one of the blitzes he brought up, and we're like, Coach, we don't understand that one. He'd throw it out. Yeah. I don't know if he did that with you guys, but I know with us either. I mean, it's gone for the week. Where most coaches like make you, or no, you can get it. Then you're not comfortable with it all week. You get in the game, you call it.
And you're still not comfortable. It don't work.
You're still not comfortable.
Yeah. I like this about Dick LeBeau as well. He will always tell us the strength of the defense and where you might be a little vulnerable. You know, like we play that cover 6 and I got to be heavy inside because I ain't got no post help. My safety might be gone. He going to tell you, and listen, they inside that post, they not supposed to get that because you don't have no help. They get that. That's a touchdown. Now they hit you with the comebacks and the outs. Let's see if they want to do that the length of the football field. They don't want to do that. So you might be a little vulnerable to that out, that comeback. Play football. Yeah. But just know if he gets inside and he gets inside, you better make a play because if you don't, that's 7, and that's what we don't want. So his theory was, let's see if that offensive coordinator and that quarterback, if they're willing to drive the length of the football field, doing it the hard way. Hit you with the out here, hit you with the comeback here. And he said this too, Rod, that made so much sense. He said most coordinators, 85-90% of coordinators are egocentric. They have to feed their ego. And we were like, what do you mean by that, Coach? He said, think about the game of football. How many times have you been in the game or watched the game? First down, an offense runs the football, they gain 6 yards. It's 2nd and 4. The normal thing to do on 2nd down to call would be another running play. But what they do, they call a passing play. If you gain 6 yards on the first attempt running the football, you're in 2nd and 4, run it again. But he said, no, they have to feed their ego. He said, if I call the game knowing that as a coach and you play the game knowing that as a player, you will always be one step ahead of the offensive guys you're going against and that offensive coach. And now, Rod, as a fan, when you watch the game for our listeners, and
absolutely,
they run the ball first down, you get 7 yards. Why are you throwing the ball on 2nd and 3? Wow. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, run it. And guess what? You throw it on 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, it's incomplete. We already know what you're going to do on 3rd down. You're throwing it again.
Right. Now, hey, listen, and you talk about cover 6. Man, that's the one coverage I could not stand at corner, bro. That's the one coverage I'm like, if they got inside you on the side, and they ate your safety up, it wasn't no help until the other side of the field.
Yeah, because that safety might be going, and that receiver got a lot of grass to run with, to play with. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Oh man.
I appreciate you, man. I absolutely appreciate you, man. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Man. Love watching you play. I love the way you represented the black and gold, man. I love the way that you stayed around the black and gold too, man. Absolutely. Once you wear that black and gold, you kind of wear it for life, man.
For life. Yes. And other prolific organizations are out there, but there's only one. When it comes to the Steelers, the fan base, the tradition, the prestige, how recognizable it is. I mean, the Steeler Nation, man, it's different. And you know that. Now. Yeah, everywhere. You know, when you play with different organizations, you really get a chance to see, wow. Yeah, like it's different in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So Steeler Nation is definitely going to get a chance to hear and see the great living legend, Rod Woodson, man, one of the best to ever do it. And even though he didn't have himself on the Mount Rushmore of cornerbacks, you already know he's on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks. So we just going to keep it like that. Hey, Rod, thank you for joining us. Best of luck to you and your family. Stay healthy, stay safe. Hopefully, man, at some point in time, definitely I'd like to get a chance to see you, man, take you out to some dinner. I come out to Vegas or you come out to Atlanta, either or.
You going to be at the you going to be at the game when the Ravens play the Steelers in Pittsburgh?
Potentially. I'm not quite sure yet, but if I do, I'll give you a heads up.
Yeah, give me a heads up, man. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna come out early.
Yep.
Be with some of my fellas over there and kick it. And if you if you're there, we can get together.
Yes, sir. Sound like a game plan. I love it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you, man. I love watching you guys play. I love watching you guys keep up our tradition. Really, I keep up the tradition that when I came in. I mean, it's that culture in Pittsburgh has been rooted for so long.
Yeah.
And still seeing the Mel Blunts, and obviously, Franco Harris passed away. You feel sorry for that. And great human being. But all the other guys that are still around that area that, that get to come around, we're meeting those individuals, the Jack Lamberts and Hams and all those guys, and then see the other guys come through it and still uphold that same culture and that same essence about what it is to be a Steeler, man. It's awesome to see.
No question. Likewise. Well, Rod, thank you for joining me, man. Appreciate you. All things covered. Rod Woodson. We'll see you when we see you.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Bless
yes,
you.
sir.